All right. So now that we built this schedule of doors, we're going to shift and move into rooms. And so go ahead and open. Everybody has the file. Anybody need more time? All right. So open the floor plan level 3. And again, this is a school that has some rooms embedded into it. And let's talk about rooms. So a room, it's is the interior envelope of a space. And a room is automatically created as a room object and span to room defining objects. In other words, there are objects in Revit that the room is looking at in order to extend itself. So floors, ceilings, and roof and walls, those are room bounding objects. And what that means is that if a room is placed within the boundaries of these objects, then the room is created. A room, it's a dynamic object. So if you change the location of a wall or the height of a ceiling, then the information contained by the room will be automatically computed. This is the information you get out of the box. You get a calculation of the area, the perimeter of the room, the default height, the volume. This is something you can or cannot disable. For the most part, volume is disabled. And then the computation height is the height above the floor level where the area is calculated. If a room is orthogonal and completely vertical, the computation height doesn't have any relevance. But imagine you have a floor that, you know, with tilted walls and maybe tilted rounded perimeter. And so the computation height is the height at which a planar section is placed to calculate the room height, the room area. Sometimes people like to keep the computation height at 0, but sometimes they just keep it at a certain height.
Hey, Azar?
Yes.
How did you pick just one room? When I click inside there, a whole bunch of rooms light up. Well, the whole building does.
What may happen is that you are selecting elements by face. And so you're actually selecting the floor instead of the room. So disable in the lower right side, selection by face. So you need to have like this little cross on the icon that has like a sheet.
Right.
And then hover over and the room will pre-highlight and then select it.
Ah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the properties of the rooms are available under the architectural tab under room and area. And if you look at area and volume computation, it is a little drop down. Then this is the way the areas are calculated. You can ask Revit to calculate volumes. This is not frequently used. This is mostly used maybe by mechanical who is interested about the volume of air inside a spot place. For the most part, you keep it as area only. Again, the way I get here, you go to Architecture tab, and then click on this area and room drop down, and then select it. And this is important for some of you, how the areas are calculated. The boundaries of the room can span to the wall finish, to the wall center, at the core center, or at the core finish. The last two are not frequently used, not that I know. So if you're trying to calculate gross areas, then I would say default it to wall center. If you're trying to calculate net areas, then select it to wall finishes. If you're trying to do both, then we're gonna have to use area plans, and that's the topic of today. So let's calculate at the wall finish. Let's keep it at the wall finish and hit OK. Again, when you select a room, when you hover over, it will display the category, the family, and the type. And so each room name is considered its own type. And so the instance properties of a room, which are the unique properties of a room, include the room number, the room name, and then there's all the finishes. And so the way we create a finish plan is basically adding parameters to the room information and creating a schedule. There are other parameters here like occupancy and occupant, comment, image, etc. You can add additional parameters to this if needed. All right, so a room, once it's placed, it's automatically going to calculate these dimensional parameters. For a room, you don't have to do this, but if I place a room and I just place it outside, you're gonna get a warning that the room is not in an enclosed region. And then when you select that room, all the metrics associated with the room will not be computed. You won't see an area, a perimeter, a volume, all that data come empty. And this will become active only if it's part of room bounding objects. Now, let me undo that because I didn't. I don't want that that object to remain in the database. All right, so to find whether an element is room bounding, that is an instance property of an object. So if you select a wall and look at the instance properties, you're going to see this parameter that's called room bounding. And this is telling Revit that a room should stop at that edge. But there may be instances where you don't want, you want the room to span multiple rooms. And in that case, you disable that property. Now, if I disable this property, then these two rooms are going to intersect and they're going to have it, they're going to report exactly the same area. And Revit is going to get angry and it's going to give me this, this warning. So, but let's just try it. If I disable the room bounding property of that wall, then you see, it's telling me that there are multiple rooms in the same region. And now I have two rooms reporting exactly the same area. And they're in the same spot. That's not what I want, but I'm going to select the room and enable the room bounding property again. Sometimes a room needs to be calculated, but you also need to calculate sub areas inside a space. Like this is an open office. And if you want to like calculate what is the circulation space of that open air office, or what are the cubicles in a separate as a separate element, then we could do that using room separation lines. And a room separation line is a hard boundary that we craft on top of a view, and it behaves like a room separation object, a room boundary object. So let me show you here. Like this is an open office, and let's say there's a set of 4 cubicles here, and you want to segregate the area of the cubicles from the open office. There's no hard boundary between them, those areas, but I'm going to force room bounding object using, in the architectural tab, I go into the room separation. And this is just draw lines. You can do a line using 2 points, circles, rectangles. And I'm going to assume that, I mean, this set of 4 cubicles sit in this quadrant. So to make it easy, I'm just going to create a rectangle of boundaries. And I'm just going to eyeball. So from here to here, there's a warning that the room boundary lines are not visible. If I want to make them visible, the easy thing to do is to reveal the hidden elements. This is going to display the red boundary, and you see that is hidden in the view. So then you select the room bounding objects, unhide it, and then switch off the reveal hidden elements. All right, this is how a room separation line look like. Now, if you notice now, the open office is not computing the area of that quadrant, and I can place a room inside that. So to place a new room, just go into architecture, then hit room. And I'm going to place a new room inside this quadrant. Escape. And again, Revit likes to remember the last set of numerical inputs. So the last room created in this project was room 212, and that's why I get 213. You can override it, but I'm gonna make this cubicles, and this is going to report now to change the data of a room, you hit the room itself. You don't hit the tag. You can't change elements via tag. You can only, the tag is just a conduit that reports information about the room. But in order to change it, you select the room, and then I'm going to change this to a different number. I'm going to say it's 321A. This is a subset of the open office. And then the schedule, it's in the schedule, these areas are segregated. If we need to change the area of the cubicles, just change the room separation line. Okay. Any question? Easy, right? Now, tags have the ability to report different information about the room. The default tag out of the box reports the room number and the room name. But there are plans where you may want to report other information. For example, the area. Life safety plan, sometimes you disclose what's the area of a room. And for that to happen, in the properties, I believe there is a tag that has been formatted to report the area. And you can see that, there is now areas reported at the bottom of the tag. If I need to change all the tags to report areas, you should know this already. Right? You just select all the tags in the project. And the quick way to do this is via the right click, right? You select on the tag, right click, select all instances in the view. This is going to select all the tags that are visible in the view. This is right click, select the tag, don't select the room. And then using the type selector, you swap it to the room tag with area. And then all the tags should have an area. Let me try it again. Selected, select all instances in the view, and then using the type selector, swap the 27 tags. Here's where you see the total number to the room with area. And now the area is reported into the plan. Now, I want to also show you how we can report additional information. And I think that's something that a beginner should know how to do. And this is modifying a tag so that it report other type of information. Say, for example, these cubicles have a field called comments. And in the comments, I'm gonna put a comment that says for users. Now, how do you add the comment as part of the tag? So this is the process. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna open this family in the family editor. In the family editor, we are going to select or create a new property that is associated with the room category. We select the category of comments and we make it report, and we look for a placement of that new tag information. All right, let's do this together. Again, the goal here is that you understand how to add information to tags. So select a tag. The name of the tag is mroom tag. And then edit the family. This is going to open the family editor. These are the parameters that embedded in the tag, which is just attributes from the room category that are reported by the tag. It's called a label. That's how it's called, a label. And notice how the volume is overlapping. I believe the volume is overlapping another parameter. The area and the volume are overlapping. Okay, so before I do anything, before I modify anything in the tag, I need to create a new type. And this type, when I look at the family type, this is the family editor. The family types is this icon in the upper left side. It has like a square with 4 little blue squares. These are the different types of parameters. And what make a parameter switch on and off, it's these visibility controls associated with the label. So for example, when I am looking at a room tag with area, I display the room number and the room area, but I do not show the volume. When I'm looking at just the room tag, the only thing I'm doing, I'm showing is the room number and the room name. The room name is by default visible in all of them. When I swap the type to room tag with volume, I see the room number and the volume and the area switch off. So what I need to do is to create a new type. So I'm going to start a new type based on an existing one. You can do this using the family type, or we can do it the same way we do in the Revit project. We can go into the family type, duplicate, rename, and change parameter value. Exactly the same thing. And again, if you are lost, just right-click on the tag, open the family editor, and then I click this button here to open the family types. Okay, so I'm going to create a new type. To create a new type, you just hit here. Hit the create new type. It's this little icon with a star. And the name I'm going to give this, it's room tag with comment. So room tag with comment. And just like I picked the comment, you can create one that says room tag with interior finishes, or room tag with occupancy, or room tag with zones, so that it reports that additional piece of information, or room tag with floor finish code. All those are examples that are typically used in practices. And while I am here in this dialog box, I'm going to create a new parameter, which is a checkbox, a visibility checkbox, that's going to be called show comment. So in the lower left side, I'm going to add a new parameter. It's a family parameter. I don't need to schedule it. It's just a working parameter for the family. The name of the parameter is show comment. The type of parameter is checkbox. The checkbox are just no parameter types. And then it must be an instance because every single room is going to have a different value, right? So let me see, is that right? No, this is a type. Because what I'm trying to say is that this type, the room tab with comment, is always going to display the same combination of values. So it has to be a type.
But how is it yes, no parameter? I mean, shouldn't it show the comment?
Yes, no parameter, it's a checkbox. Yes means the checkbox is enabled, and no is the checkbox is clear. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the way they call it. They should have called it like checkbox. Be easier. Okay. So show comment is a type. It's a yes, no, and it will be placed under graphics. So the group parameter under, it's where in the list of parameters this is going to sit. So I'm going to put it under graphics to be consistent with the rest of the existing parameter. Okay, so when I display the room tab with comments, I want to see the room number. I don't want to see the volume. And maybe I want to show the area. It's up to you, but you want to see. So when I select this type, these are the things that will be visible in the tab. And then I hit OK. So the parameter is being created, but I need now to associate that parameter with a new label. Everybody with me here? If anyone is terribly lost, let me know. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is create a label associated with the comments and associate that to the visibility checkbox. So I'm going to select the room name here, and I'm going to copy. You can just click the Control key, and this is a shortcut you should know. Control drag copies everything. Again, or you can use the copy command. Where you select something and then hit the Control key, keep the Control key pressed, and then drag out. That makes a copy of anything. You can make a copy of a floor, of a wall, any element in the project. And now this parameter, this copy of the room name, I'm going to make it report a different parameter, the comment parameter. And so the label property of the tag has this edit button. When you click that, this will disclose all the out-of-the-box properties of the room. And that includes the comment parameter. And so what I'm asking Revit to do is to add the comment to the list of information reported by the parameter and remove the name. And so you remove the name by clicking this arrow, this red arrow to the left. It's like remove the parameter from the list of information reported by that parameter. Okay, you could say, okay, this is sample value. That's fine. Hit OK. And now this comment is just a placeholder for the comments that are coming from the project. Any question here? You want me to repeat this? Anybody behind? Okay, so the last thing I need to do before I'm done with this is to associate this label with the parameter I just created, the show comment. And this is a fundamental knowledge of working with families, which is associating parameters with visibility checkboxes. So what you do here is select the comment parameter, and then notice that there is a parameter called visible. Visible controls whether this is going to be visible in the host. Right now it's visible, and if I leave it like this comment is going to be visible in every type. But if I want to connect this with the show comment parameter that I created, hit this toggle, this little toggle here. And this is called associate family parameter. And what it does, it's connect the value of the visible checkbox with the parameter value in the family types. So click on that toggle and connect the visibility of this parameter with the show comment parameter that we created in the previous step. And then hit OK. And that's it. We're done. You can just load this into the project. And again, remember this, I think I told you, when you're presented with this and you're making changes in parameters, it's always good to choose the second choice. And now this tag, it's reporting the information contained by the comments. And you change it here. You change in the tag. And just like I did this, you can add your own you can you can create your own tags. Obviously, if you have everything standardized in your practice, you don't need to worry about this because all the tags should be sorted out for you. But I like you to understand why and how tags works a certain way. And so we need to design the way in which information is reported by tags using parameters and visibility controls. Okay, any question here? Okay, so let's talk more about managing the information. We are going to create, there's a room schedule here, but we're going to create one again from scratch because one of the things that a lot of firms do is create finishes, schedule of finishes. Here we have the base, ceiling, wall, and floor. If you want a different standard, you can add custom parameters, like for example, wall east, north, south, east, west, north, south. If you want to add like accent color or something like that, you can also add it like wall finish 1, wall finish 2. A lot of companies already have these list of parameters baked in their template, so users don't have to create them from scratch. But and what we're going to do is just a basic schedule of finishes using rooms. If you've done interiors, you know that we build finished codes that are connected with specs, and that's how we create our finished floor plans. And then we can change a tag to report, let's say, finishes, and you can do it that way as well. All right, we're going to create a schedule of finishes, room finishes. So we're going to start a new view. And under the view, we're going to create a schedule of quantities. And we're going to pick the room, the category of rooms. And let's give it the proper name. This will be room finish schedule. Okay, so another thing I'm going to show you how to do is understand is this concept of schedule key. And a schedule key, it's a way to connect the database of rooms with a database of room styles. And so a style, it's a predefined list of finishes that is associated to a key value. You can call it style 1, style 2, or you can call it 1, 2, 3. And the key associates the value of these parameters into the room itself. And so what we're going to do, we're going to create a schedule key. And the key name is the name of the parameter that's going to connect these two databases. And room style is fine. And so I hit OK here. Oh, I need to give it a different name. Let's call it finish schedule 2. All right, so I'm creating the schedule key. And the schedule key is the first thing you need to do. It's what is, let me diagram here. This is my list of rooms. And then this is my list of styles. And then the style is a collection of floor, base, wall, and ceiling parameters. And then These parameters are going to get automatically populated into the rooms using the key. Right? And so this database is connected with this database, and I have a happy face here. The key is connecting the styles into the room, and then the parameters of the floor, base, window, and ceilings are going to travel into the room via the key. So the key schedule is going to have a floor finish, the base finish, the wall finish, and if you need to view walls by orientation, then you should add them as share parameters, because these most likely are going to get tagged somehow. So wall finish and ceiling finish. And if there is additional finishes like accent wall or accent floor or I don't know, wood type, panel type, so special finish, then you should add them you should add them into the project as share parameter. Okay, I'm gonna click here okay, and this is the schedule of styles. So maybe we rename this accordingly. Under the properties of the properties of the schedule, the view name is going to be room styles. And then we're going to start adding each of the keys. We're going to add them by column, by row. So on the schedule properties, there's a button called Insert Data Row. And this is my style number 1. Style number 1, the floor finish, let's say it's carpet. And here you add your finish codes. The base, I don't know, it's going to be vinyl 1. The finish, it's PT1. And your ceiling, it's like this is ceiling tile 1. Now, when the key is added to the rooms, all these values are going to travel with the key. And the rooms are going to get grayed out. The information is going to be grayed out in the room information. Let's add a couple more. So we're going to add another row. Room style number 2. The floor finish is sheet vinyl. The base is sheet vinyl. Or maybe vinyl 2. Vinyl 2. Or rubber, RB. And then the wall finish here is going to be PT2. Sometimes when there are accents, interior designers like to call it PT2, PT3. Maybe the half of the wall it's one color, the other half is another color. And then the ceiling finish is Gboard 1. And let's add one more. So to add new one, go to the add insert data row. And my style number 3. Maybe the floor finish is polished concrete. The base is none. And the wall finish is PT3. And the ceiling is open to above. All right, so you can continue creating your styles here as needed. And then these styles are living as a separate database. So any question about the room styles? All right. I'm going to close the room styles, and now I'm going to create my schedule of finishes. I'm going to do them again from scratch. So you go to the View tab, and you do a schedule of quantities, schedule. And I'm going to create again the name of these schedule is room finishes to room finishes interior. I'm gonna call it like that. And then select the category you're gonna pick parameters from. So that's the room. Not key anymore. We're just gonna do the building components. And so the first thing you're gonna add is the room name or the room number. The order of the parameters is the order in the tabular display from left to right. Then goes the name. Then goes the key. Remember, the key is going to bring the values of the styles. And so the room key, it's called room style. This is the name of the parameter. This is the name of the key. And then the rest of the parameters that are going to get pre-populated with the room style is going to be the base finish. Sorry, I'm going to start with the floor. The floor finish. Where's the floor? Okay, I have it on. Floor, base, wall, and ceiling. And maybe I have some comments. All right, that's all I need. And then maybe you want to also do areas. No, that's fine. Well, the areas will allow you like to create a schedule of floors based on floor finishes. But I'll skip that for now. Okay, and then I hit OK here. So this is a room finish, and it's sorted numerically by the first value, which is the number, and that's why you see it alphanumerically sorted. And then all you need to do is you can add individual finishes if you don't want them to be driven by room styles, or you can hit the room style key. And then you can say, okay, every vestibule is not going to be number 1. Every lobby is going to be 2. If you don't want to do this manually, then you can actually, rather than display the entire category, the entire, all the instances in the project, you can summarize them by name. So the way to do that is you go to the sort and group. And then you're going to sort this by the name of the room. Again, in the schedule, in the properties of the schedule, hit sort and grouping, edit, hit the, in the sort by, you're going to do by name. And you don't want to itemize every instance. So what this is going to do is just going to display all the rooms by name. And this is just to save you time. Hit OK here. Now I have all the names sorted. And then you can associate your room style accordingly. And then you're going to apply them to multiple rooms at the same time. For example, computer labs, there's probably like 20 computer labs in this building. And instead of doing them one by one, you can just sort all of the rooms and give them the same style. Let's say style number 2. And you have only to input a handful of values instead of adding them one by one on every cell. And so you can also copy paste, Control C, Control V. If you know which is number 3, then you can just paste it directly here. And so all the values are getting added automatically via, and I'm not paying attention on the space type. I'm not going to complete it. I'm just going to do, well, I'm almost done. I'm going to add to all of them a value with 3 styles. You can leave them as none and then override them manually. But if you're going to have a new style, it's best to go to the style key schedule, add a new row, and then that value is going to be available in the room style dropdown. Okay, I added my values to the room style. Now I'm going to go back to sorting and grouping. And I'm going to enable itemize all the instances. And now my whole spreadsheet is full of values. And I'll have to do that. I didn't have to do the one by one because I aggregated the all the rooms by type. And the beauty of this is that, you know, in the middle of evaluating finishes, you decide that, you know, oh, the carpet is too expensive. We're going to change the nomenclature. So all you need to do is go to the schedule, to the room style, and change the key. So this style is no longer CP1. This is CP3. As soon as I change it here, this is going to change it for all the finishes in the big schedule, and you don't have to type it manually. That's one of the advantages of using room styles. It allows you to make very quickly changes across multiple rooms at a time. Okay, any questions about rooms, room schedule, room finishes?
You make that room style like a non-printing, or
Oh, if I don't want the room style to show,
yeah,
just select the column and hide it. Still there, but it's not going to be visible and it's not going to print. You can also like rename, let's say if I want to format this, make it beautiful, a little more beautiful. I can override the name of the parameter just for the finish, just for the schedule look, but I'm not actually renaming the parameter itself. I'm just renaming the header of the schedule without renaming the parameter. Like this will be a room number. And then this will be a room name. And then like these 4 parameters, all these are finishes. Maybe like in Excel, you know how you can group elements. So in Revit, you can click on a cell value, drag out, and then you can say group these finishes. This is going to add a new row above of them, and you can say finish spec or finished code, and then you can remove the word finish next to it. So group, it's like in Excel, you call it, what's the name of that? When you merge, it's the same as merging. And you can also make it like this line here, this gray line. I don't know why it's there. I hate that gray line. But you can remove it if you go into the appearance. And there's a checkbox called blank row before data. Again, to get rid of this row, go to the appearance and then disable the blank row before data and hit OK. Yeah. And this is one way of creating schedules quickly, finish schedules quickly. The drawback of this is that I mean, you can schedule, you cannot schedule quantities via this way. For example, a wall parameter is associated with a room. This is not actually calculating the amount of finish of the room. Like it's not calculating the area of all the walls. It's just a room parameter. The same with the base. I'm not going to tell you how many linear foot of base do you have. It's just a piece of data that is associated. If we really want to get to that level, then we need to build the finish to the walls and then schedule wall quantities that way. But I'm telling you, no one does that. I mean, unless you're doing, when you do interior elevations, you may want to like tag finishes there, tag material to indicate, you know, what is the extent of PT1 and PT2, or what's the shear rail or something like that. But no one really bake all the finishes of all the walls. That's a lot of work for nothing, to be honest. Okay. Any question? All right. So if you need to send this to somebody else, say you have you're gonna hire an interior designer and he doesn't use Revit. Then you can export a schedule under the file, export, and then scroll down. And I think it's this called report. And you can say save a schedule or a room area report. You want to schedule you want to export a schedule. And then the option is comma separate value or text delimited. Both formats can be opened in an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to save it on, it's on my documents. It's room, finish, interiors. So I'm going to save that. And use the default values for the separations. And then if you don't have Excel, that's fine. I'm going to open Excel here. And then file open. My documents. This is, I have a lot of untitled stuff. Oh, I need to switch this to comma separator values. 6 files. There is room finish interiors. And use the default and finish. Oh, I guess this didn't work. Let me try it again. I think I need to set some settings. So open. Close this there. Don't save it. File. Launch. Excel. So I think it's delimited by commas. My data have headers. Yes, it has headers. I start import from row number 3 because row number 1 and 2 is just it's just the title. Delimited by commas. That's correct. So start import of row number 3. And then hit next. The delimiter is the comma, not a tab. And now you can see the preview there. And then just go finish, and now it is. All right, you can schedule and you can export any schedule and send it to somebody outside who doesn't use Revit. But the next generation of tools, it's looking at ways of presenting data in the cloud, edit it on the cloud, and then bring that into Revit. So stay tuned because I think in a month or something, they're going to be it's going to be an announcement on how to do that. All right. I'm going to close this unless you have any other question. And move into a little more advanced calculations. I'm going to show you how to do code analysis sheets, which I'm sure you do on your daily basis, but it's an example of how you can add formulas to schedules in order to obtain values. So one of the beauties of Revit is that the information reported by the rooms, these areas, these instance properties, can be included in internal computations. When we do code analysis sheet, we have an occupancy type, right? B, A, M. And then according to the code, occupancy types have occupancy factors. If I recall this correctly, like business have 100 person, 100, every 100 feet, there is one person. That's a factor. And then when you divide the area of the space by the occupancy factor, then you obtain the occupancy calculation, right? And then you round up because you cannot have partial persons. And that'll give you the, when you summarize the occupancy calculation, then that's your building occupancy. Building occupancy. And that's sort of the math that you can run, you can do with Revit used in tabular displays. All right, let's see. In order to do that math, I already have a parameter here called occupancy. And this occupancy, I think, accepts numbers and letters. Yeah, this is just accept text. And then I have another one here called occupant. For the occupant, I think it's also text. Yeah, so I cannot use this parameter for computations because when you do formulas, you can only use numerical values, right? I cannot divide text with numbers or text with integers. I can only use elements of the same numerical format. And so there are three parameters I'm going to use here. The occupancy, which is I already have here. Then I'm going to create two more parameters. One is the occupancy factor, which is going to have numbers. It's going to be number. And then I'm going to have also something that's called a calculated value. And a calculated value, it's a value that is extracted from operating to Revit objects, and the calculated value is going to be the area divided by the occupancy factor. So I have I have to create one more parameter and one calculated value. That's my task. One more parameter and one calculated value. Let's do that. So under the under the Manage tab, open the project parameter, and I'm going to add a new parameter. Do I need this to be tagged? If I need it to appear in a tag, then I should use a share parameter. If I don't need it to appear, I can just keep it as a project parameter. This is the occupancy factor. It's up to you. You can, for our exercise, we're just going to say it's a project parameter. But if you want the occupancy factor to be part of the tag, you want it to appear here in the tag, then make it a share parameter. So this is going to be occupancy factor, OCC factor. And it's an instance parameter because every room is going to have a separate one. And it's going to have a number. I'm going to report numbers. And I'm going to associate to the rooms, the category of rooms. And I'll group it under the identity data. Just because the other occupancy that's there, it's already there. So occupancy factor, identity data, number, rooms, and then hit OK. All right. Now let's just make an example. Let's say this is an open office. The open office has an occupancy B, and the occupancy factor is 100. And I have to add the occupancy factor to all the rooms for these to work. But we'll do it. We'll do it in the tabular display. All right. Anybody lost? Anybody need help urgently? Just let me know. If you're stuck, just don't be afraid. Just let me know. Very quickly, I went to project parameters. I added a new parameter. I give it the name occupancy factor. It was a number and associated with the room parameter, and then hit OK. Okay, let's build our schedule. Let's build our values, our calculated values, and then we'll find the total number. So we're going to go to the, we're going to create a new schedule. So go to the View tab. And we're going to create a schedule of quantities. And we're going to schedule rooms. So in this category of objects, I scroll down till you find the room category. And the name of the schedule, I'm going to call this occupancy calculations. And then hit OK. So the occupancy calculation table is going to have the room name and number. So these are the parameters of the room type. So find the number, find the name, and then some people like to include the level, what level it belongs to. And then we're going to add the occupancy, the occupant parameter, which report, whether it's A, B, C. Then we're going to add the occupancy factor. We're going to need the area, the room area. And we can hide the area, but we can also leave it there. Okay, and here's where the formula comes in. So again, where we're going after is to make a calculation of the occupancy, which is going to be the area divided by the occupancy factor. And this little thing that you see here, this is how you create calculated values. CV, calculated values. And this is not technically a parameter. It's just like a formula. It's just divide, it just create an operations between columns. Calculated values can be tagged. This was a new thing in Revit 2020, I believe. So you can include them in tags if needed. And that's what we're going to do now. Let's create a calculated value. So calculated value needs a name. So this is going to be the number of occupants. It's a formula. This is the type of information that it's processing. It's processing numbers. And the formula, it's you can use these 3 little dots to pick on parameters. So the formula is the occupancy factor, and you hit the divide. Actually, it's the area. My bad. It's the area divided by the factor. So click, select the area divided by the factor. And I think I have to add divided by 1. And the reason I think is that area has square foot units, and the occupancy factor has, I think it's times 1, I believe, times 1. The occupancy factor is number. So a number by a number, it's a square foot. So a square foot by a square foot is going to give me a number. So again, I'm gonna show the formula again. It's the area divided by the occupancy factor divided by 1. This is something that Revit adds. This is in the latest version of Revit 2022. It likes to find what are the units. So it's area. You don't have to put this thing. It's area divided by occupancy factor times 1. And this is just for the purpose of squaring the units. Hit OK. Then the other thing I'm going to do is make sure that I can calculate the totals. And the other thing I'm going to do also is that the number of occupants cannot be a decimal, right? Because you don't have 0.2 or 0.3 of a person. So I'm going to go back and edit the formula. And everything inside this formula is going to be round up. So what I do is I start a bracket at the beginning and a bracket at the end. And then everything on the bracket, I'm going to apply the formula that says round up. And you just type that, round up. And Revit has a bunch of formulas. Let me just show you some formulas that you can use inside inside Revit. Are here. Some formula examples. You can do basic math. This is one parameter minus another parameter. You can do angles. You can do round up, which is what we're doing. There's trigonometry. You can do arrays. All I did is search for Revit formulas. You can do conditional statements. Logical, if no. There are times when you need this, and I've seen a lot of elaborate families that have these formulas embedded. But anyway, move this away. The formula here is round up, and then everything in brackets. Then hit OK. And before I hit OK here, I want to make sure that I can add all the values of the number of occupants. So under the formatting tab, I need to make sure that area, I can calculate the totals of the area. So I'll select the area parameter and display the totals. Okay, Michelle, have a good one. And then the number of occupants, I also have to display the totals. And this is just so that the total is aggregated at the bottom of the schedule. And then hit OK. And here it is. Here's my occupancy factor. The totals is something that I need to tell Revit to display. So not only I need to tell them to display the enable a parameter to display totals, but I need also to tell Revit to display totals in the sorting and grouping. So in the sorting and grouping, I'm going to say sort by number, and then display totals. Then everything at the bottom of the table is going to display a total. So right now there's only 13 because I haven't added the occupancy values. But just like I did with the finishes, I can sort and group by name. This is just to make this happen quickly, and do not itemize every instance. And then this gives me a shorter version of everything, and then I can add occupancy factor. So admin, it's 100. Advisors, it's 100 to cafeteria. I don't know. Maybe that is that's 20. And computer labs, it's educational. I think that's 100 too, or 150. I can recall. Conferences, 15. Copy printing, 15. Corridors not included. Cubicles, 100. Drafting. And so you add the occupancy factor according to the use. Instruction, it's these are educational classes. I don't know, is that 15? I can't recall. Schools. Library, lobby, not included, lounge, not included, media, 100, man, office. You can exclude the things that don't count. Okay, so I'm just gonna add those there, go back to sorting and grouping, sort by number and display, itemize every instance. And then, yeah, I have my total here, about 500 people. And you can always go back and refine the occupancy factor, but for every occupancy factor, there's going to be a new calculation. Okay, so any question? And I already show you the process of adding parameters to a tag. I'm not going to repeat it for these, but all you need to do is to edit the tag, add, if you want to display the occupancy, I mean, this is B, and you can also populate the occupant type. You're going to add the occupant, the factor, and the total. Those are 3 parameters that you can add into the tag, and they will display. Exception, the occupancy factor, remember, I added as a parameter that was project, and project parameters do not show in tags. So if I want to tag it, I should have added as a share parameter. And this was a project parameter, share parameter, calculated value. You can add share parameters and calculated values in tags. You cannot add project parameters to tags. And then just drag and drop this into your life safety sheets. And every time there are changes in the area, then the area is recalculated and the total numbers will be updated automatically. You can also create subtotals by floor. And that's something you can do under the sorting and grouping. You can say add sort by number, then by level, and show me, no, sort by level first, and then sort by number, and show me a footer of the totals. And there you go. I have subtotals by floor. So on the first floor, I have 225, 131, and 146. Again, the way to do this, go to the sorting and grouping, sort by level first, then by number, and then add the level, display a total. Make sure you display itemize every instance. The grand total is at the bottom. If this level is not something you want to see, you can hide it as well. So you can select column C and hide it. And then if you don't like how the area display with this FT, that's something you can also format. There is on the properties something called format unit. And then here you can tell for this parameter that I have selected, you can choose to display 2 additional decimal places, display or not display the units. And then hit OK. If you want to align them to the right, you can also do that. Align horizontally to the right. Maybe the number of occupants, you want to align them to the center. Then everything else to the right, or this also to the center. And again, if this gray thing is ugly, you can go back to the appearance and remove the blank row. And then drag and drop this into the project. Okay, other things that I've seen architects calculate. Sometimes capacities, volumes are used often. This is on the MEP side. Oh, BOMA calculations. Because BOMA has a specific way of calculating stuff, and it's all about placing the area plans correctly. So there are templates available. I think if you go to BOMA, I used to build this for companies, but now BOMA I think has made some Revit templates with embedded formulas. All right. It's 7:05. I think I'm going to stop here. Any question here? All right. So next class, it's on Tuesday, and we're going to start more looking into the process of detailing. So I'm going to bring an exercise on how to create a detail based on 3D geometry, and a drafting detail, which is completely independent from the 3D model. And the process of creating, adding annotation, text, dimensions into details. We'll continue working on these models, so save it. I'm saving this on Google Drive, so it's already there if you want to download it for the next class. And if you need one-on-ones, just stay. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Thanks,
all right.
Cesar.
Thanks, Cesar. Bye. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Goodbye.
Have a good weekend.
You too, bud.
Bye.
A quick question.